Hi everyone, I'm Gina Philibert Ortega with GenealogyBank. Were you or a family member alive during the 1960s? Chances are you do know someone who was alive during the 1960s and who remembers the historical events of that decade. There's everything from the space race to the Kennedy assassination to the Summer of Love to the Vietnam War. Have you thought about combining what you find in historical newspapers with interviews of your family? It's a great way to help them tell you the story of their life. You can use historical newspapers to ask questions, to use as a reminder, or to augment the story. Let's take a look at one such example. Let's go to the GenealogyBank website. So we're on the GenealogyBank website, and we could do quite a few different things. We could do a search for a specific historical event. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on the Kennedy assassination. This is something I've interviewed my mom about because she was in high school during this time period. Now, we know when the assassination occurred. It occurred on November 22nd, 1963. And so we could do quite a few different searches to find what we want. In this case, I went ahead and just put in Kennedy and I put in the keywords killed. I've also tried assassination and shot and shooting and a few other things. And I went ahead and did a date range. I did November 22nd, 1963 to November 24th, 1963. Now, why did I do this? Well, you know, I knew he had been assassinated on the 22nd, but I didn't know, does the newspaper in this area come in the morning? Is it an afternoon paper? Would it have come in later when they heard about the assassination? So I went ahead and put the date of, but obviously you're going to want to do a few dates and do a date range. Now, the other thing I did was because some of my family lived in California during this time period, they lived in Southern California, I went ahead and limited my search to California and then to a nearby newspaper. You don't have to do this, but I figured by doing this, this might be the information that they received when it was happening. And so I thought that might be a way to better interview family members and to help, give them a sense of that time and place. So I can then scroll down and find what I'm interested in. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one from November 23rd. And why I chose this one is instead of it just saying, President Kennedy has been killed, I like that this says the president's death halts city and county operations. It shows community members buying newspapers. It talks about what was going on in that city and county. That's a great thing to add to an interview. Even if your interviewee doesn't talk about what happened, this might give you some additional things to add to your story. Now, with something like the Kennedy assassination, obviously that was in newspapers over a length of time. There were several newspaper articles, so although I've picked up on this one and my results list gave me this one and it looks like it was front page news, I would still want to go over and go through the newspaper and see what other mentions that I might find about the Kennedy assassination. Now, I can do that by going up to pages and then clicking through on various pages that I'm interested in. So remember that that's something you can also do. Now, why am I using this example? Well, the Kennedy assassination is one of those historical events that affected pretty much everybody in the United States. And people who lived through it can tell you, obviously, if they were small children, they're not going to remember, but people who were older children, adults, they can tell you where they were, how they learned about it. They can even tell you what happens when Jack Ruby shoots Lee Harvey Oswald live on TV. So this is a great way to interview your family, get their take on a historical event that impacted them, and then add newspapers to that to help tell that story, and add some images and other points of view. You know, so much of our research in genealogy focuses on our long dead ancestors, and that's important. There's no doubt about it. But we also need to take into consideration the stories, the life experiences of our living family members and ourselves. Historical newspapers help us to do that. They help us to tell stories. They help us to interview people about their experiences. So as you do your family history, it's great to search for dead family members within the pages of historical newspapers, but don't forget to also take the time to use newspapers to help jog the memories of the living so that they can tell you about their life experiences, and then you can record those for generations to come. I'll see you next time.